I'd like to thank everyone for coming to tonight's regular council meeting on June 8th, 7 p.m. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting on the Egg Harbor City Common Council was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City Hall bulletin board. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the Egg Harbor City website. Advance written notice of this meeting was sent to the Hamilton Gazette and the press. The meeting is being conducted via Zoom and conference call. The meeting is also being recorded to air on the Egg Harbor City website, Channel 97, and the Egg Harbor City Facebook page. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Jim Petty. Here. Antonisi. Here. Clark. Here. Dash.
Here.
Galloway.
Yes.
Heist. Here. Hesse.
Here.
Timbers.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Richie.
Here. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 25th?
I have a correction.
Sure.
I can't tell which resolution under 1.3 authorized payment to Robert Evans, right? That's Ryan's flag. And you have me recorded as yes, and I abstained.
Okay.
And I still haven't seen a copy of the resolution.
I'll send that to you.
Okay.
Adjustment has been made for the minutes. I had a motion from, who made a motion? Councilwoman Heist, second. Second. All in favor? Thank you. Anybody from the public have any comments on the agenda items listed? Well, once, twice. All right, Mayor, the floor is yours.
Well, first thing on my report, I'd like to bring up the NPP individuals that are here today. I have to apologize. It was miscommunication on my behalf. I appreciate they were coming, so they're here this evening, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to present their plan for the garden, Archway Garden,
Green.
Archway Green, that's right. That should be the plan by the NPP.
All right. Any objections to the presentation? All right, Bill Briggs.
I guess we could just pull it out. Well, yeah. I would make it the computer can see it.
Yeah, but maybe just there, so maybe kind of raise.
Jerry, do you want to,
Put it right in front.
Yeah, I
Put it right in front.
Have we not?
Ben, you can set up both of them there. We have the copies in front of us.
All right.
I did give everybody copies on your station stuff.
I can see on you.
You have to move them over more to the right.
Yeah, well, that's going forward.
So the MPP has been working on open space renovation, one of their main big goals. And with the Economic Development Committee uses that lot at 147, right next to the Crossroads Barn Grill. They used it a lot for the events, and last summer was the big farmers market. It is a very big space that can be used for a lot of community events and gatherings and stuff. So the MPP stakeholder team decided that we would try and do an open space renovation. We've been working with Scott Taylor Design Group and Ben Risley for making, if you look at your paper, it actually takes that big empty dirt lot and makes it into the front part towards Philadelphia Avenue is grass and sitting areas and lighting, and there's a staging area. The back part of the lot towards the terrace is for parking. So we would still have city use parking in a space that right now is just empty. One of the things that we did not really like was putting a covered gazebo structure on that, because there was a lot of talk about negative things that it could be used for if we did that. So we are not planning on putting a covering over that staging area, but we would be able to have a platform for music, for someone suggested like yoga in the park. So, just more use for events. The final big part of it is recreating the old historic archway that used to go over the White Horse Pike. And so if you look at the second page, the archway would be the front centerpiece of that property. as close as we can get to a rendering of it, how it used to be, but safely for the wind and all that kind of stuff now. Ben actually put together a really nice presentation with that kind of stuff, and he can speak on what it would be made of and for durability and sustainability, so it could actually last years and years and years to come. One of the things we did want was we applied for the ARP grant. It's a grant through NPP. It's a $250,000 grant if we do get it. I believe it was brought up to council before. We are hoping to get that grant to be able to complete this project fully. If we don't get that grant, we still have the next 3 years of NPP money to put towards this project. We had, Scott Taylor spoke with his contact at Pinelands to see if there were any red flags in the plans that they thought would hold us up. She said everything looks really great. It's taking a space that is once had a permanent structure on it and then it's demolished to being used again. So at this point, with council approval, we can move ahead and do the application for Pinelands. And once we get that, we can break ground and start moving. This would be a very, in my opinion, it would be a quick project. You'd see a lot of progress once we get that Pinelands approval. Ben's already ready to move forward with his plans for construction and that kind of stuff. I mean, I would love to have council approval for it. Any questions, we're here to answer. Any concerns?
So what's the timeframe once the Pinelands approval? From like groundbreaking to finish?
So it all depends on how in-depth we want to go with the plans that are presented. So if, Scott Taylor gave us the complete plans. In those plans, say we don't get the grant and we're using the funds we have, we would do piece.
Okay.
We may not be able to complete the entire thing. You may not be able to put in a permanent structure. We may not be able to asphalt the parking. We may just have to leave that, you know what I mean?
So it'll be like phases?
Mhm,
Okay.
absolutely. But it's something that the town could see progress immediately. You know?
I have a question. In the pavilion, the event stage, you have listed a movie screen, picnic tables, security lighting, speakers. Without a roof, all that is going to be removable, so it can be taken out and just put in during events.
We would have electric outlets available there. We're gonna have plenty of lighting. We would not have the permanent movie screen because that would be in the roof structure, which we don't have. There are other alternatives though. One is a portable movie screen.
Right.
Another alternative that we were discussing is the big giant projection that could be on the side of one of the buildings. You know what I mean? It's just tweaking those plans a little bit to fit our budget and our needs.
Right, and the fact that it's not all going to be left out there, it's gonna be taken in and out as
Absolutely.
needed. Okay.
We would have benches and stuff that would match what is currently in the like the benches that are currently on Philadelphia Avenue, we would match that kind of furniture. The trash receptacles, it would match, but would all flow together.
Has there been any inquiry from Crossroads about utilizing that for outdoor seating?
I personally went to Chris myself because he's been so helpful with us in our events that we have in the city. I didn't want to just exclude him, even though technically it's not, you know, really up to him on what happens because it is city property. I did go to him though and ask what his opinions were, if there were any needs that he could see that he would need. And the only thing he suggested was, if you look on your plans, there's a sidewalk that runs from the parking lot to the Philadelphia Avenue. Along that, we would have fencing to cover his trash areas. He did ask if we could have a gate by his outdoor seating area that we could open and he could get directly to the lot. So events and stuff, you know, he could expand. And I don't see any problem with that at all.
Another question I have, and Brian, maybe you can give a little insight on this. So we have some serious issues with Weismackersville.
Yes.
What impact, if we move forward to try to get that demo taken down, would it have on this plan? Like, with it, like, you understand where I'm going with this as far as timing, or if this is already in place and then, you know?
So you wouldn't have any issues for permitting. I don't think for the demo you have any other issues, except if as you're demoing the building, something fell and something just constructed. What's that? I don't really see any conflicts. We're
Okay,
not really proposing anything that's like we're going against.
One of the concerns Scott Taylor pointed out was with the ground. If the ground were to be contaminated at Wisepecker's, would it affect the landscaping or the water runoff or anything like that? And so he had said that you put the landscaping far enough away from the building, and there's specific landscaping that can actually help suck up the chemicals in the ground. So you take that into consideration on what we plant there.
yeah, the concern I would have is, I would like us to see us get that building down first before this starts going in motion. Because the placement of heavy equipment and, you know, everything that's included when it comes to,
It's going to be a lot easier to.
Right.
What's our timeframe? Because I know we've had it's been a stepping stone with how long they have to keep
Yeah,
checking in and all that.
essentially just whenever you guys want to move forward, we structured, gave a letter of opinion that it should be polished. So it's.
okay,
So being in the industry that, and I do inspections on demo projects, you demo from the inside out and pour everything in. So it'll be minor disruption from that.
okay.
Can I ask a question? If we're planning on demoing Wisepecker's, what's the plan of Wisepecker's?
To take down the building initially and then move forward from there.
It's not our.
Move forward
Yeah.
with what?
Well, so-
Expanding this park or finding a developer?
No, it's not our property.
Yeah, well, I think that means whenever the remediation is complete, but just to give an update where we are, we're waiting for DP to finish the remediation process, finish filing up liens. And they don't give NFA no further action. There's a real action plan that will be affiliated with the site, which ultimately at some point will say nothing further has to happen. Once that plan is in place, the city can foreclose on the property and DEP will discharge. You can't take it over before that because then the city becomes responsible for the cleanup, whatever's left. So we've had numerous different updates from DEP and this, Bessie spoke to some a while ago about it, who sort of seem to think they were farther along than the case manager feels they are. So I haven't had any firm updates from DEP as to how long they think it's going to be to get to the end. But we really can't do anything affirmative on the property until all of that completes and really.
Did you read the email that we got from TCNJ
About, yeah.
about this
assistance.
property?
Yes.
And that's been considered?
Well, so that helps you, but not until you get to the end of DEP's process. That helps on the development.
Hold on.
Yeah, we can demolish the building because it's a hazard. We can go on the property with notice, demolish the facility, put a lien on the property, which will collect it. And then when we foreclose, you know, all of those things are revoked. But it's only because it's an effective nuisance hazard. So you can do that. You can, you know, stabilize the property so that it's safe. That's it. You can't make any further improvements to it.
That's my frank.
I will, on the demolition side, I mean, that could happen in a span of a week or two. You know, sort of pull the trigger to advance there. On the DEP side, like I said, they have not given me any kind of thing that I can see.
Because I have concerns about all of the improvements being made in this lot here. You know, if this is going to be eventually a redevelopment site, to have all this next door, somebody might come in and say, I want that property too. And then we just spent all this money to put in all these sidewalks and concrete and pavilion and parking, and then developers want that property. it's kind of like a waste of money. I'd like to see the front part of this area, simplified a little bit.
Really, I mean, if you look at the plans of the lot, it's really grass and some pavings and some lighting and seating. It's not a big elaborate. I mean,
You
it's
have this circle, is this circle concrete?
pavers.
And in fact, that pavilion is going to be concrete.
No, it would be a staging structure. It wouldn't be a poured concrete structure.
So it's gonna be like a wooden structure.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, really, it's really not as elaborate as it looks, because
Looks good.
we originally planned this on doing it with just the MPP budget. Now that we have the ARP grant, that we may have the ARP grant, that could help us a lot. But I mean, really, we kept it as simple as possible so that we could do it under this budget, as you know, in the meetings we discussed. I mean, really, and like Ben says, if you're gonna demolish the building, if you look at the plans, everything on the side of Wisecrackers is all grass. The pavers and everything is far enough in that it wouldn't be affected.
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, when we took that building, and it was a fire, you were here toward, it was a fire there, and it was not getting fixed. And I believe we took that through, was it eminent domain? Or was it?
Yeah, I think the city proposed.
We were closed on, but I believe that there was some sort of, I don't know, I thought we had to develop something for the community that,
Well, at one point, there was a redevelopment
yeah, for the
circulating that was,
senior building.
right, it was multi-story, retail on the first floor, I think 2 floors of residential.
We couldn't make the elevator.
Yeah, that was a complication. There were some other issues as well.
Just push them.
Yeah, I mean, that plan was kicking around for a while, but I don't know that there was any affirmative ties. I'm not aware of any deed
Well, I
restrictions.
thought we had to do something that was going to serve the public.
I think that was only if it was, because it was originally, I think it was funded through, was gonna be funded through the DCA grant. I think that's why, but that's not
Right.
involved anymore.
That didn't-
Yeah, yeah.
If I could say something, I appreciate all the hard work that you put into this. And I appreciate the fact that you reached out to many people to give input before this design came up. I think it's something that Philadelphia Avenue absolutely needs. And I think that the residents and the vision of Vancouver City will very much enjoy this. So I think it's definitely a great step in the right direction. If the Weisbecker building becomes ours and gets torn down, I can't see where that's going to cause a big issue for this project. And perhaps this project could even be expanded later if we do end up in that property, because we need more of these type of spaces in Vancouver City. So I certainly support it.
I just wanted to know. Joe, you were saying you really didn't want to move forward with this unless we knocked it down first.
No, there's first time.
Okay, well, I was wondering if, should we entertain that at this point or not? Just to knock the building down.
Well, turnaround on Pinelands is gonna be how long? Turnaround for Pinelands.
Oh, no, so when I spoke to them about this property and explained the public health hazard, they said that they would respond within 19 days.
Okay.
So, I mean, if the city is seriously interested in moving forward, we can secure quotes and, begin meeting committees. At this point, I have no idea what it's gonna cost. Yeah.
Is there any
Blank checks.
Is there any ballpark figure? We can just throw something out random without being held to anything.
I mean, I could give you an estimate, but it's not very much.
Okay.
More or less.
Sure, Ben could as well.
Sledgehammers.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you, in demolition contracts, we have had significant variability in pricing. Some contractors come in 3 times. So, I don't miss. Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be a huge number, I don't think. It's not a large building, really. Scope of the demolition project.
That would demolish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's already halfway down in the middle. Looks okay from the wall, but we get underneath.
What does it have to cost material? On white space?
Oh, that I do. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I mean, I would say this would definitely be less than 50,000, probably significantly less.
easily.
I think it's closer to 25%. Even, you know, if the contamination is going to scare some people.
And it wouldn't even have to go out to RFP.
Yeah.
So in theory, could we support this project and support demolition as two different things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just brought up Weisbecker because I don't want to see that hurt to this.
Sure.
Because this is fantastic
Yeah.
and we need this to move the city. To move the city
So
forward.
with keeping these thoughts in mind, if it's gonna take time, I imagine it's gonna take time to get the approvals and get the paperwork for Weisbeckers. It's also gonna take the time to get the, well, so in MPP standards, we get the approval from your guys, we can move forward in getting the application approved for Pinelands. But again, it's gonna take us time. At that point, Ben's gotta put the arch out to bid, that's gonna take time. When we start moving forward, really the first steps are grading the lot and digging up that dirt and that kind of, so it's all kind of giving you guys plenty of time to knock down the building and make more dirt for us to dig up. You know what I mean? I think the two projects could work very well together.
We could be done with the demolition for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
demo will take a week.
Right.
Okay. And it gives them more access for their project to bring in more equipment.
Yeah.
Offload and
Both are easier to do when the other is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to open a big can of worms, but it's just, I don't want that issue or issue to affect this beautiful project that we have coming forward.
If Weisbeckers is demolished and the mural is front, could that be worked into your project?
I'm sorry.
I said, if Weisbeckers is demolished, could the mural be worked into your project?
The mural that is currently on Weisbeckers. I don't know if it could fit in the archway grading, but MPP could definitely utilize it on other vacant buildings, which is falling into our streetscape refresh.
I wonder if they would let us put it on the side of Crossroads.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's something I could definitely ask Chris about. I mean, it's not city property.
I did look into that and Palmati owns that building. He did not want that over there.
There are a couple
Second, all
other,
the measurements.
there are a couple other spaces though in town that it could
Yeah.
be used. I mean, I can picture a few off the top of my head. I don't know what addresses because I'm scattered right now, but it could definitely be utilized along Philadelphia Avenue for other coverings. We would definitely not get rid of it. I mean, there's so many uses for it.
Or even the Lafayette Firehouse.
My son did
Maddie.
that thing.
What's that?
My son did that thing. Sixth grade or seventh grade.
Anything else you want to have this?
That's our ploy.
Any other insight? Mr. Costa, anything from you?
Yeah.
Being the chair?
I'm not the chair of that.
I'm
I'm on that
Yeah,
committee.
yeah, yeah.
I agree. I think if we, personal opinion, if we wait for the whole demolition, I mean, it was definitely discussed of that being a problem, and we all realized it really wasn't for the Archway Green. I'm anxious to see the arch go up. I think it's gonna be such a good site for when you get down Philadelphia Avenue. You know, seeing that, bringing the piece of the past back up and, you know, I'm excited to see it.
What will the arch be made of?
So there's two things. It was thinking that the longevity in AZAC, and you can turn to the other side, it has the wood that will capture what it was before. Or in, it was ethos. So you do like an ethos finish down low, you put a high impact on it so you can't get vandalism. But I think the AZAC might be the best way because it'll capture what it used to be. And there are two options that I think.
What's that called again? Can you spell it?
It's ethos, which is a drive-in type of material, or AZACs, which is a wood, it's a manufactured wood product that lasts longer than pine wood, less maintenance than pine.
And it can be replaced like down the road.
It can be replaced and, you know, it'll look,
Repaired piece by piece.
yeah, it's a lot better. The drive-in or the ethos, if somebody damages something, then you gotta patch it up and, you know, I think the AZACs is the way to go. Either way, it's gonna be framed out to support it. So.
And if you look at the dimensions, I mean, it doesn't do it justice in the pictures. I think it's gonna be a very impactful, big structure that you're like, wow, look at this. We're gonna have lighting in it. you know, for nighttime, and flags along the top and,
Try to keep it a scale between the buildings, so
Yeah.
you don't want to be too, too opposing. So, try to keep it a scale.
I think the original arch only had 2 flags.
There was 3. There were 3 in the Bridgewater.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'd like,
okay, that's our plan.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Hey, thank you for your
Thank you.
time. Great concept.
I guess my question is.
Yeah, we have to approve the concept.
When you go to Congress.
Anybody else on council have any other questions or comments, any insight regarding the concept plan that was presented?
So the resolution would be to proceed with the filing. Now, with the project, with the project.
The MP.
Which in text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to authorize the
Yeah.
MP with the MVP proposed partial agreement.
Yes.
So you said.
All right, if nobody on council has any further comments or questions regarding it, may I have a motion to move forward? May I have a second? Roll call?
McKinsey? Yes. Clark? Yes. Dash?
yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Ice?
Absolutely.
Essie?
Yes.
Timbers?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Richie?
Absolutely. All right, Mayor, the floor is still yours.
Okay, just a couple quick things. I did receive several requests for, letters from other mayors. From, Brigantine, I think, Longport, and also for the Benton.
Yes, Ventnor.
Have a copy of the city of Brigantine. They're requesting that, we try to get an extension on the offshore wind project. So
The review.
the review process, they don't feel like, what they have now, they're requesting a minimum of 90-day to 135-day extension of their public comment period. So that's their citizens to thoroughly review the information. I'm guessing they just want our support on that, so I'll pass that down. And I don't have those other letters, but they pretty much say the same thing. So that's that. I don't know if you want to,
Yeah, anybody have any questions regarding?
get one.
They want to increase the time frame that the citizens have to review us.
Yeah,
Public comment, it was like a 1,400 page document that was sent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding this? I can take a couple seconds to review it real quick, and if there's no question or comments regarding it, we're gonna have a resolution to support this.
This is, I think it was one you're getting from the mayor for your team.
Yeah, it is. We can have a motion for a resolution to support Mayor Sarah and mayors of,
Draft and Longport.
yes, and Mayor Ventnor.
Ventnor, keep going.
I'll make that motion.
Any opposed? All in
I
favor?
am.
I'm sorry,
I am.
okay. Councilwoman Galloway opposes. Any other opposed? All right, rest in favor?
That's right.
All right, Mayor.
Also, we discussed a while ago about strategic planning this week. We said we should out an external stakeholder survey and also a performance culture survey. And the city hall would also get one of those just to start the process with a few surveys. I know everybody's busy, and especially now, it's really busy with resolutions and all that. I would like at some point in time, whatever month we feel is best, to get together and do, SWOT analysis and start the visioning for the process and mission that establish some values, just to move on with it. A strategic plan can be as difficult or simple as you want it to be. My goal is to incorporate it in the master plan with our mission, vision, and values. And, just to kind of direct our operations a little bit better.
We would meet as a council as a whole.
Yeah, we could. I think that would be the best thing, to have a special meeting like we do with budgeting. But, you know, like I said, I know everybody's busy. I hate to take everybody's time, but think about maybe in the summertime, if, you know, we think that's the best time or the fall, whatever. And we'll try to plan a date that we can all meet, do that process. It won't take long, and it's fun, believe it or not. So one other thing I wanted to mention that, the Winberg Foundation has generously donated $40,000 to Cedar Creek High School to put in a wall of fame, which will be breaking ground on that July 10th. I believe that, I had some pictures on it, but basically, I'll just pass this around. This isn't what it's going to look like. But when you're going in the back way of Cedar Creek, it's on the right hand side, so you can pass that down and check it out. So what's gonna happen is they're going to start fundraising efforts, and I think one thing that we can help out with, individually or as a group, we all have contacts that we know. They're going to be selling bricks. If you look at the bottom of the picture, they're going to be selling bricks. I think there's one brick that's $300. I'm not quite sure what the other one is, but if you go on the website for Cedar Creek, you can see, you know, what it is. I'm going to get the handouts for it. I'll give everybody one in case you want to order one, but it would be great if we could all get involved in this effort to have the wall thing like every other high school has. And
Is this just
going
for
at-
athletics or for?
No,
for everything?
no, for everything. This one's going to be unique because obviously it's going to be outside. And they're gonna make like a little garden area there so you can go and sit and it will, you know, it'll be called the Lloyd Winberg Memorial Wall of Fame. So it'll be really nice. We'll have his picture on it, you know, on the plaque and all that. So that's upcoming. And I guess less happy news. Our dispatch expired on June 3rd, and as our IT service will expire with Hamilton Township in August. I just got the numbers from Chief Stan Brone from Hamilton Township. It is going up quite a bit in increments up to what, 2025, Jody? 3 years. So we have to review that. I think I sent it to you, right, Joe?
Yes.
And I sent it to Jody. I don't think that there's anything we can do about it, but I can say that in 2009, when we had the Mid-Atlantic dispatch, that was a group of people who joined in to do dispatching. We did it through Lake Harbor, and we dispatched for other municipalities. At 2009, it cost, our portion of it was $220,000 approximately. So even though these numbers seem a little high, we're still not paying, you know, now we're kind of paying as much as we were in 2009. So I don't know what other options there are unless the county does dispatch, you know, central dispatch, but I'm not really a believer that that's gonna happen.
It'll work to last 10 years.
More than that. So just to bring that to your attention, that's
What are you paying this year for that?
189.
Yeah, that's true. It's like through June, it's from last July to this year's June was 189. So from this June to next year, it's going up to 209.
And then it goes up in increments.
Yeah, it looks like it's about 9,000 each year. Next year would be 218, almost 219, and then it's 220.
And then the dispatch is what, 20,000 is going up?
You mean the IT?
I mean,
I don't think you sent it.
I did, you just sent it. I might have it.
So over 3 years, dispatch is gonna be up 38,000 for 3
It's
years.
going 20,000.
By 2026.
Yeah, 38,000.
And what's the IT for?
They handle all the police,
I don't have the,
all the police vehicles, all the police laptops. Because they're on, since with dispatch and everything, they share so much, so they had taken over the IT a few years ago.
And that's an additional thing. How much
which
is
is
that?
about 15,000.
And that's going up to what?
I don't.
You said you got it. You said, okay, oh,
No, I had only got.
I forwarded it.
So who does all these things?
I forwarded, there was 2 attachments on the last one.
It did, when you, the one email didn't have any, and the second one only had one attachment.
The one email I texted. Hard for you to find.
Jody, do you know the program that they have the police use right now? That's not, this is totally separate than what the police use right now, their programs. They use, I'm trying to think of the name of the program that they use.
I mean, there's a bunch.
Jody.
Right, but it's not this, this is something separate.
So the actual dispatch.
Chief, if you could give insight on the system you use. Apparently she's asking what system do we use?
This isn't a charge for any system, this is a charge for Hamilton to do dispatch
Right.
and to take their IT people.
But the
their-
question
And that's
was,
all it
what
is.
system?
Just
So
for their-
it's-
for the person, not for the students, it's not for any
So
specific.
the IT system that the police use is completely separate.
Yeah, any
Okay.
software that they use.
Okay, so the IT would be August 9th, through August 8th, 2024, $23,406.91. And it goes up to $24,343.15. And it's from August, and then 2025 is $225,316. So that's that. What is it this year,
I
Jody?
think it's about 15 to 16.
So that's that.
And Hamilton Township has in-house IT, correct? It's not, they're not contracting out.
No.
Right.
And this expired already, and so we need to re-up this when?
By July 1st.
Next
August,
meeting.
obviously, it's not expired.
The IT
The IT has expired. So we just got notification, I tried, what, 2 weeks ago, the insurance was going up,
Mhm.
so we didn't have much time, but. So, real quick, just a couple of things going on at the Lake and Casey's going to do report here. Wrestling was at the lake a few weeks back for their banquet. Track had their banquet at the lake yesterday. Mullica Township, 8th graders were there today doing their picnic. Oakcrest will be there the 12th and Cedar Creek will be there on the 15th. You just can't say. Yes.
That everything, Megan?
Yeah, and we are still in desperate need for lifeguards. The 2 lifeguards that were scheduled for the class this weekend decided that they don't want to be a lifeguard anymore, so we could have to impose, I guess, restrictions on how many people we allow in if we don't have enough. I mean, right now we have enough lifeguards. It just is a matter of if those lifeguards want to work. Last year, the lifeguards, a lot of them did not want to work, especially on weekends, and that's really lame. So it'll be a problem. But, you know,
You always consider closing one day a week too, if we have
yeah,
to,
yeah,
so,
we do that. Yeah,
close on Mondays and then at least we don't have to,
staff that.
we don't have to staff that day, we can have everything together 6 days.
I mean, you never want to
Stinks,
miss a
but-
beat, but it
Yeah.
could be the, you know, safety.
It's like every other business right now.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can get more security out there?
Yeah, we have a officer. who's
Because
going to-
I can tell you right now, the number one reason why is the rumors that I'm getting around, they're scared. You know, they get disrespected out there, these 15, 16-year-old girls. You know, the grown men come in here, hollering and moaning.
Well, that's why when we had our, powwow in September, right? We discussed having a special officer out there
Yeah.
during those critical.
I think that would help.
You know, we do have an officer, Chief will talk about that,
Right.
just later, right? And report, we do have an officer that'll put on there.
Mhm.
And also the ordinance that council passed with all the rules and regulations, that really helped a lot too, because now the police can actually do something about it.
Right.
So-
But I can tell you that's one of the reasons.
Well, that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, moving into committee reports. So finance, we're gonna be having a committee meeting over the next 2 weeks, so I'll send an email out about that between tomorrow and the weekend. Safety, nothing. Councilwoman Heist, anything for highway?
Yes, our two new, highway guys started Monday. He said they're doing very well, not good. They'll be able to clean the main street twice this week and also do the watering. Oh, they were able to clean the main street twice this week and did the watering as well. A lot of grass has been cut and also dug up and repaired the sewer line at the lake so the men's bathroom would stop backing up. They found a broken line full of roots. The sweeper and the John Deere tractor that our part-timer, Rick has been using are both broke down, so he will not be working for the next week until they get at least one of them back. Also, we need to have a highway meeting and a lake parks and playgrounds meeting combined. We talked about that, so we have to get together and figure that out. And that's all they have.
Thank you.
The only thing is.
Yeah, you know, it would have to be a special meeting because you only can have so many people attend a meeting.
Some of us are actually on both committees. Is that?
Yeah, but we just can't go over 4 and the mayor. But you can figure that out, just for the sunshine law, if you need to advertise that, you know, that would be fun.
Councilman Dash, anything for code?
Yeah, code enforcement, the main reports are out. Administrative duties are 17, certified mail code compliance reports 19, in-person notifications 24, inspections 25, investigations 16, red cards issued 25, telephone email notifications 57, TV tags issued 1, zoning reviews 25, total of 209 areas that they worked on during May. We have both of our code enforcement, both of our part-time code enforcement officers are back on duty. We have Monday through Friday, we have at least 1 code enforcement officer on, and on Wednesday we have 2. So we have coverage Monday through Friday. We will be trying to get a code committee meeting together. I'm going to send out notice. We're looking for June 23rd. It's a proposed date, and I'll get those notices out. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Anthony, the property park playgrounds.
For Property Parks and Playgrounds, I just want to thank Keith and the staff for getting the league together. I saw them out there multiple days working hard. And the mayor and all the lifeguards for all their hard work. I know there's been some comments about getting lifeguards and people think it's super easy, but it's really not. There are a lot of lifeguard classes and we're more than happy to help direct you to them. So if there are people out there that are interested in summertime work, but you don't have your certification, we are more than happy to help you in the right direction. I know Keith probably can speak better to it, but the dock was damaged and it was out of service and commission, but it's back up and running now and set to go. I don't know what repairs went in. It looked to me like the piece came out that was broken.
Yeah, we had to
Keith can speak
replace
better to
half the
that.
dock. It had a hole in it. It was actually sinking.
Yeah.
So it was fun. I'm boarding the dock. and Trying not to float away with my size guy on top of the dock. I'm trying not to get wet as well. But yeah, it is fixed. Everything's good to go now. So.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have anything for school board too?
For school board, there is a meeting coming up. It's the end of the school year. And we're gonna try to get some of those meetings that are just to get their kind of wrap up on the school year. And then I have the lake report here that I'll just read off real quick. For the $10 preseason badges, we sold 534 for $14,280. The $15 seasonal badges that were after, I think it was the 31st of May, we sold 38 for $570. The $5 badges, we sold 109 for $545. For the daily bands, there were 250 in total for $2,008. Picnic tables, 56 for $1,400. Additional picnic tables, $225. There were 15 of those, and 10 boat rides for $410. Correction, there's 41 boat rides. So total sales to date for 2023 are $19,438. And that's a difference of about just under $5,000, $4,927 that we didn't have the best of weekends last weekend with weather, so that probably can account for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Wright, you got anything to read to it?
Except for the water plant has officially sold and. Thank you, Lord.
Councilwoman Clark, license ordinance.
Nothing to report this.
Councilman Timbers, land use and Aaron Haven.
Nothing to report.
Meg, anything, Jeff?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Hesse, Rotary.
Just wanted to say that at the next meeting, they're going to work out the dates for the softball fundraiser. And when they get them, I will announce it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Galloway, sustainable.
Yes, several things. Lake Trail is nearing completion. Thank you, Pete, for all your hard work out there. We're gonna plan an opening ceremony, 10 a.m. Friday, June 23rd. Last night, we attended a sustainable landscaping program at Egg Harbor Township Community Center. You should see that place. It's humongous. It was very informative, and we talked a little bit about our tree program. People were receptive. We applied for a $1.4 million federal grant for tree maintenance, plantings and community outreach. And there were so many applicants trying to upload their documentation that the system crashed. So wish us luck.
We got confirmation ours was received.
Yeah, it was received, but with all those people, it's going to be quite competitive, I'm sure. And the awards will be announced in October. I want to remind all the residents who got trees to make sure that they water their trees. Normally, in a normal growing season, it's 20 gallons that we would have to add per week, but since it's been so dry, I think you might want to try to do that twice a week. If you haven't picked up your water bags, they're still sitting in City Hall, and I'm getting reports that some of the trees are looking pretty sad. So please take care of those trees. They cost $400 a piece. And we were sustainable. EHC was also awarded a $2,000 grant, some of which will be used to create a newsletter. And we already started. We have 3 stories ready to go. If anybody has anything they want to get into the newsletter, we plan on distributing it July 1st. And we need email addresses. So I need to discuss that with the attorney, I guess, on if we can use city from the tax rolls or whatever, if we have email addresses, would we be able to use those?
Using the city's
Email addresses, to send out a newsletter for the city.
Sure.
You can do that, okay. So we'll do that on July 1st. And Jody, did we hear from Sustainable Jersey about the shrub planting? The extension on the shrub planting? And who did you talk to? Caitlin Walmer? So the other Caitlin. So it wasn't me. All right. And one other thing, there's going to be a Peace Pilgrim celebration Saturday, July 22nd. It will start at 9:30 at Peace Pilgrim Park. There'll be a 1 mile walk for peace at 10 a.m. And at 10:30, they'll circle under the pine grove, take pictures and so forth. We'll have some refreshments. And then later on in the evening, there's a gathering, a Twilight Peace bonfire at Chakra de Paz. That's a farm at 901 Darmstadt Avenue. And that is from 5 to 9 p.m. We're going to have drumming, music, and camaraderie. Bring your own lawn chairs, drinks, food to share, musical instrument, and your peaceful spirit. That's it.
I do have a question for you. Do we still have residents that need to pick up trees?
Pick up trees? No.
Yeah, or be contacted, or bags?
Bags, yes,
Okay, how are we contacting them?
by email,
Okay,
several times already.
okay. From you or,
Yes,
okay, all right, I just want to follow
you have
up.
any other suggestions?
No.
Have them contact me.
Did they give
Can
you
we
phone
leave them at
numbers?
their house?
Yeah, we could, if, somebody wants to go out and distribute them. I'm really, really busy at work and summer's there for me, so.
All right, so, yeah, shoot them the emails, and just keep following up until they pick them up then.
How many are coming?
How many have not picked up?
I know you have a list.
I have a list.
It's fun for us, right? I mean, they're kind of out and about, riding around. Anyway, so. I don't have time to help, but. Just thinking someone's driving around town, I get it.
Did you do a robocall?
And you limit it to.
It's okay, get more people, we're not talking about.
Robocall to just like the select member. Do you have, maybe I can call and say.
Stop being preemptive. All right, chief, sorry.
Complex numbers for you. In the past 2 weeks, we've had 1 aggravated assault, 1 fraud case, 2 simple assault.
Mr. Chief's floor. Chief's floor.
2 stolen motor vehicles, 3 thefts, 7 motor vehicle accidents, 4 pedestrian stops, 42 traffic stops, total of 26 summonses issued, 5 arrests. Other calls that we've had, 5 business alarms, 1 residential alarm, 212 crime prevention activities, 1 militia police, 5 domestics, 28 EMS incidents, 4 firearms applications, 30 follow-ups, 372 property checks, and 8 public service calls. We've had a few different trainings, in-service training, our mandatory trainings that we have to do for the Attorney General. We have 2 officers who complete that. They'll be going to the training with the Atlantic County Police Academy. Will be offering throughout the year, so they will have all of the mandated trainings. Alpha research, we've talked about alpha test EREs a few times in the last 2 council meetings. We have talked about research. The news is that Atlantic County will be rolling out the new alpha test machines in 2024. The bad news is they're expensive. Fortunately, we have received approval to use forfeiture and drunk driving enforcement funds to pay for that. Normally with drunk driving enforcement funds, we have to use 50% for enforcement, 50% for other things, but we can use all of that funding for that. So we'll be taking a look at that. We have been without an alpha test machine for the last 3 years because Draeger will not has not been producing the parts needed to make it. So we've had to rely on other agencies to be able to use the alpha test machine, which is a pain. We have done DUI enforcement, but it always takes an officer out of the city, which is never a good thing. So we have that. Otherwise, personnel and events coming up tomorrow morning, talking with the top at Wawa. Our Wawa always loves to have us, so we will be there from 8 to 10. You will also see on the White Horse Pike officers running. It is the annual torch run for the kickoff of the Special Olympics. So a few of us will be running from Napa to where are we running to? I believe the Korean Church on the White Horse Pike tomorrow morning. So bear with us. It goes from Atlantic City all the way to Camden, and it's always for a good cause, the Special Olympics.
You're running right on the highway?
Yes. Yep, every year. So we have that. Upcoming stuff, we do have graduations coming up. Community school is on Monday, May 12th, Thursday, Cedar Creek High School. You will be seeing some targeted enforcement over the next few months, specifically for bike riding and speeding and pedestrians. Given that kids are not in school anymore, we are going to be going trying to contact kids, making sure that they're riding safely, and doing some public service announcements on our Facebook page about driving safely, watching for pedestrians and crosswalks and bicycle stuff.
Can I mention something that they used to do? I don't know if they still do it in Hamilton, is they get donations from the custard stands. Little certificate, and if you catch a kid riding a bike wearing a helmet, he gets a free ice cream cone.
So we do have programs in place where we have a great relationship with Wawa, and they will do all kinds of stuff. So we do have tickets from Wawa for free beverages, that kind of thing. So yes, that is something that we do kind of incentivize it, so that way the kids are like, oh, if I wear my helmet, then, maybe I'll get something. So absolutely. But thank you. And I think that's all I have for right now. Oh, okay, yeah, so to address the lake issues, we are hiring a class 2 officer who will be assigned out to the lake for the majority of the shift that they are working. I don't know how it is in the beginning of the shift. We're looking at a 12 to, what time do they close? 7 p.m.
So closes at 6, park closes at 7, and that's really where it's difficult getting people.
No, exactly. So, one of the class 2 responsibilities will be to make sure and to assist with making sure that everybody is complying with the lake rules and what needs to be going on. Additionally, one of the things that we've talked about is having officers actually going and running tags, going out into the parking lots, because one of the issues that was raised from some of the people that we've spoken to is issues with drinking. It's like maybe not directly on the beach, but going out to the vehicles and doing that. So, we've talked about a few different ways to combat issues that have come up in the past. And we're looking to do kind of hard press at the beginning of the summer to that way nip it in the bud. And it's like, okay, listen, that's not going to fly here. One of the other things that I did want to mention, and since we're on the topic, maybe next year we can consider looking at the rates from other places. I was looking at the Cove and at Port Republic, their rates are higher. And, I don't want to outprice anybody, but I think that with the lower rates, you get the folks who may cause more problems. And I know, we don't want to outprice our residents or anything like that. So I don't know if there's any way to have a resident price as opposed to an outsider price, but just some things to consider to make it a safe, fun place for everybody to be. So.
It's a great idea.
No, I know we could raise them, but one of my guys, because they were doing checks out there over the weekend, and then one of the guys actually sent me an email with the Cove prices from.
Yeah, they're wildly higher. It's funny because I see complaints about us raising our prices and they're nowhere near. Right?
I know.
That's just,
The prices might be steep with daily admissions, but get a pre-season badge. Get the seasonal badge. It's $10. That's affordable.
What would you say the first day?
If you're gonna go out 3 times, 4 times during the summer and buy wristbands, that's way more expensive than buying a
We
seasonal
make
badge.
most of our money on wristbands, especially people from outside the community. We saw a lot of this. They
Well,
don't
the
even care.
50 should help if we, share.
Will the officer be the one, kind of doing the loud music or inappropriate music?
Yes.
Enforcement
Yes, so
versus the lifeguards?
no, exactly, and that's one of the things, it's like, if there's loud music and inappropriate music, and, absolutely, that's something where if the lifeguards see that, instead of it being, oh, the lifeguard is gonna go do that, I don't know what your structure is right now, your employment structure is right now, I know
The
that.
structure is the supervisor team.
Okay,
Not the like,
so,
they don't usually do things like that unless they're yes.
so like, that's the whole thing, it's like, and if you have that person there being like, listen, we addressed it, and there's not compliance at that point in time, it's, you know what, okay, you've been asked to do this, you've been notified, you've been, and at that point in time, and it sounds kind of harsh, but I am planning on going out with them and being like, there's no tolerance for it. You know what, we're not dealing with it. And it's one of those things because we want people to have a good time. And quite honestly,
But everybody deserves to have a good time.
yeah, it's like, and I don't want to have to spend all my time, like, we owe it to all of the residents, it's like, we can't spend all of our time out of the lake, so. But
I have one additional question on but the campground manager had people that were across the lake the other night blaring their music, and it carries right across. And it's super loud to them. It's disturbing to their campers, especially the campers that are kind of on the first row. No, I told her next time, I made sure she had the non-emergency line, told her to call, but she wasn't sure, and I told her, I think with the noise ordinance, that can be enforced, that they can't be over there.
202-6 is our unlawful acts ordinance, and if it is disturbing the peace and it is unusually loud and it is for longer periods of time, then that's absolutely something. So don't look at the noise ordinance. I would recommend that any resident, the noise ordinance is specifically for businesses, when it says the 2 a.m., that kind of thing. So 2026 is our ordinance that kind of encompasses all of the nuisance, quality of life type things. So any kind of noise, anything like that, 202-6. So all of our officers know it, we write the worries.
When you and the officer come out, would you come over to the campground side so I can introduce you to them? They're brand new managers.
Are they?
They're brand
Okay.
new.
Okay, absolutely.
They're not from this area at all. Very nice, but they're new, so they're kind of learning the ropes, so
Absolutely. And you let me know when it is a good time and we can.
they're every weekend, so.
Come on out. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, do we have anyone bilingual at the link, or an officer that could be bilingual that could pass through? Sometimes some of the Spanish lyrics of very vulgar. I mean, I blare it in my car, but. Bad Bunny, big fan of that.
So yes, we do have a bilingual officer. I would need to take a look at his schedule to see exactly what he may be on nights. So the short answer to that is probably no.
Okay.
But I don't know what lifeguards, if there's any, I don't know.
Well, if there's any questions, I guess give me a call. What is this joke?
Yeah. Any other questions for the chief? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Jody, I'm gonna move you to answer Brian.
Okay.
It's gonna be a deep discussion.
Okay.
Alright. City clerk Meg.
I have nothing.
All right, Angela.
Okay, thank you. We have on the agenda resolution number 17, the need to execute emergency medical service agreement with Galloway. This is not defined. And it's a contract for the first year, $50,100 for 3 years total. For the second and the third year, you'll have a 5% increase of the base 40%.
I have a question. I saw in there that there's additional funds going towards them being in the Crusader games. Does that mean it's mandatory now for them to attend the home games?
Yes.
We were very steadfast on that.
And we just started those additional things, starting with the new quarters, like from June, like the next payment will include those.
Yes.
Not the one that's yet.
Any questions on that? Next, we have resolution number 18, this is the shared service for the lead-based testing. As we discussed last meeting, and also in conjunction with the ordinance we have for public hearing, number 22. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Angela regarding anything?
In 18, that was one that they were providing at no cost.
No problem.
Well, the cost goes to the.
Homeowner. Well, the-
Motor
Yeah.
Vehicle Board.
Okay.
And a small portion of it goes to the Atlantic County Improvement Authority for their service.
Okay.
But not no charge to the city.
Okay.
And the remaining comes to us?
No,
Okay.
nothing comes up.
Right. All right.
No cost, but we don't get any benefit included.
Yeah, well, we do.
It's the
That's
benefit of,
$20 fee we have to pay.
yes, 25 state. Yeah, but the benefit is we need that testing done. On certain, and on the rental properties, most of them, I understand, have already been doing it, that needs a handful, and if they refuse to do it, send somebody out to do it. It's by a certain time that it has to be done. It's already been implemented, the statute last year, and so we've been progressing with your, as the year comes.
There's
depends on
deadlines,
when your house
If
is
there's
built, so.
it's only properties like 5 or 78,
Yes.
and it's,
Well, that's a
if you are
requirement.
not changing tenants, you don't have to do it until like like another, like next July or something like that. There's like deadlines, but if you're not, if you're changing tenants, you have to do it at tenant turnover. If you're not, then July next quarter.
Yeah.
Like that.
But basically, the DCA was monitoring this forever. And the DCA was keeping track of who had certification and who didn't. And they decided, well, municipalities should do it. And so it gave the municipalities about a year to implement this program. So we're ahead of the game here. And it is a gradual step process. So a lot of these rental properties have already submitted their certification to the DCA. And either they're cleared or they're remediated. So that alleviates a lot of the properties. So there's only a handful now that need this, which should be online early next year.
And it's a one-time fee on the homeowner, once they clear.
Correct.
They're
So
good.
once they provide a certification,
Yeah.
Let's see and let's pray that it's
Then they-
permanent
correct,
ones every 2
right. So basically, if they find lead, they have to remediate it in a certain period of time. But once you remediate it, you don't have to pay the fee anymore. You get your certificate, you're fine. And once you provide a certificate that there's no lead, there's nothing else for you to do.
Is there any follow-up, like if there's lead-based paint found in a home and they have to remediate, and it's a tenant that's living there with children?
Yes.
Are the children tested?
Well, they should be tested, in my opinion. There's nothing in the ordinance about that, but that's up to code to make sure that the place is remediated within a certain period of time.
Is there anything in the state law requiring testing for the children?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Angela.
I just want to ask one thing. It's on the form, right, that the landlords have to fill out every year? Yes, the yearly. We sent that out early. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ryan,
Couple things, state roads are moving along nicely, should be paved in the next weeks or so. I met with our solar developer earlier this week. We're expecting to have a packet to be able to go over committee next week. So it sounds like we can schedule our meetings, that's perfect. There's something that is, we like that. Municipal aid applications, we have to put a resolution on the agenda for the next meeting to, first we need to pick off earlier. And then we need to do the resolution, so submit the state aid applications. They are due July 1st, so. At the next meeting. Our subdivision, we called, the reviewer was out, so I have information. It's really it for me, other than Mason mentioned, the sale of the water sewer system.
What's the subdivision?
New Orleans Avenue subdivision. The portion of New Orleans Avenue, which is directly across the community school. We're reconfiguring a couple of lots to the three potential lots there.
Ryan, I just wanted to ask on Liverpool, that's already going to be, we're not going to decide on that.
Yeah, we
The next
got
one.
funding in the 2023 program to do 1 and 300 blocks of Liverpool Avenue. Yeah, so we'll be moving forward with that.
you have record of streets, right? Have been discussed in the past
Yeah.
on file. Okay,
Yeah.
can you, when we have the meeting, just bring like 10 or 15 of them. I'm not trying to go for 100 of the streets in town.
No, I agree.
Yeah, so just target the main ones.
Yep.
And we can decide from there.
Very good.
Anything else for Ryan? Nope. All right, Jody. Your report.
First, I'll just do my regular kind of number, closed out 2022 with final numbers anyway, so I just have my final bank rec about the December receipts, disbursements and any balance. So December receipts were $2,637,558.45. Disbursements of $2,698,581.80 for an ending cash balance of $4,334,801.40. Year end. Gonna do that. You let me know. And then, we had introduced the budget at our first May meeting. We said we were gonna pull it off on adoption and making a final decision about how much utility surplus we wanted to do. We had introduced with a 10.5 cent increase. So I had emailed out a budget amendment, Email out with all the tonight's information. So the changes I have so far in the amendment, we can change other things in council wishes, but this is what I had done for tonight. So I just made a correction to the municipal alliance grant, so that went from 5,500 to 6,600. And then we found out what the clean communities grant was. You can amend the budget and add grants in it. Don't worry about the budget and discussion. Dated those. And then, and from discussion with Joe, it seems like the majority probably want to offset the increase. So for now, I have 216 in there, which means that to a 0 change. So if anybody wants to change anything, but that's the amount of utility surplus that I have in right now. So if you want to discuss that, or you want me to go over all the changes first real quick and then you have a discussion?
Make
Okay?
changes to me.
Not that, that's all in the revenue side. On the appropriation side, the only thing I did was I amended the EMS, bumped it up from 42 to 46 to cover the additional crusaders and the oxygen that I hadn't realized in the original amount that I thought they were charging for this year. And then I put an additional 5,000 in dispatch, because I thought that went retro back to January. That'll actually help us since we are having a dispatch increase anyway. This way we'll have a little bit extra money in dispatch. I don't have to do too much to transfer here.
Jody, I'd like to back up a moment. The 216,000, that is all of the utility, right? Is that everything that was? put in
The
there?
max that we could use was 260, was what the balance, well, from, yes, because we're only, this is from last year's surplus of utility at the end of the year. So
So
the max we
we're-
could use was 260.
So we're adding everything to, is that what we're doing? The 216,000, we were debating on how much we were going to use of the utility.
Right,
And so we were putting it all in there.
if that's what council wants to do, yes.
So, okay, that's what's.
But you said there's 260.
260.
260.
Zero.
15.
216 of the 260.
A difference of $44,000.
Now, did we get the final numbers from school board and the county?
Yes.
Yeah, they do
So
all
the
of
school-
decrease.
Yeah, the school, the local school is a 1.5 cent decrease, and what did you say earlier about the regional assistance?
And county's going to be around, well, they said.
I haven't
two, but-
received anything.
So that's 9.5 cents.
So that would kind of offset, even though your municipal purpose tax would go up, it would offset your total tax rate by 9.5 cents.
Yeah.
So you theoretically wouldn't have to use money, from the plug budget. Or we could, because I think that the money's gonna be there next year anyway for that. But we still have like a 0.5 cent tax.
Oh, and Leon, I talked to Leon earlier today. He wanted me to mention that we are planning to have a meeting either sometime in late summer, early fall, once we kind of see what shakes out with what we're still kind of responsible for utility, what things are really good numbers for us, to sit down and finance committee and really come up with a good plan for how to use the remaining, have a long-term plan for the remaining utility proceeds. So we want to.
Oh, I thought you
With
was
that.
coming in and everyone.
Or we could
Speak
have,
in front of everyone.
whatever, however.
We'll start at
We want to have a
the,
public meeting or.
we'll start at the committee.
And. I mean, it's completely up to you. I mean, I'm very conservative. I hate to see us plug things, but I understand not wanting a tax increase. And we don't know what next year will be. Hopefully we will have some additional revenues, marijuana sales, marijuana tax and things like that, but. I like to be conservative, so.
So how much would we have to, would we have to use to cover that 1% difference in the 9.5 decrease from, county and school? And the
Well,
10.5?
every penny is about 20,000 for us.
Okay.
Every cent. But he said he wasn't overly concerned when I mentioned that. He was okay with it. He wasn't like majorly alarmed. Yeah, so just wanted to ask how long he said. feel free to call him if we want.
216,000 to the budget and put a $216,000 hole in next year's budget.
Well, the other thing you have to remember is we at least agreed to appropriate money for fire truck, which we may not qualify for the grant, right? So if we don't spend that money, how long is it gonna take to get the fire truck? 3 years, Jay? So you'll still get interest on that, which could make up some of that money.
That fire,
That's a lot of money.
that fire truck's gonna be at least a minimum of 2, if not 3.
Yeah, and the original projection.
Yeah, that was starting last year, so. So last budget meeting that we had, I was the first to say that we should balance the budget with the funds, in agreement with the mayor at that time. So I'll open it up for discussion. I'm still steadfast on doing that. So.
So this
The
is the
time is
year you
yours.
give back 9.5 cents to the taxpayers.
It doesn't have to be, I mean, I'm not
Yes, I do.
saying what.
I will go on record saying, yes,
It
I want
doesn't
to
have
run
be
a
all or
balanced
nothing
budget.
either. Right, it doesn't have to be 0 and it doesn't have to be 260, it could be anywhere
Yes.
within that range.
I agree with Joe. I think we should give it back. I think we've had tax increases over and over and over again, and it's about time that our residents get a tax decrease. They deserve it.
We haven't raised taxes for
3 years,
3 years, 4 years.
3 years.
Well, 3 years that I have here. In 2020, the tax increase proposed was 2.5 cents. And it was brought down to 0 by applying $65,000 in land sale money and $55,000 in wetlands deed restriction money. In 2021, the proposed tax rate for operating expenses was 5.3 cents. It was brought down to 0 by applying $38,000 in land sale revenue and another 44.5 in land sale reserve and $171,000, thank you, Joe Biden, from COVID aid. In 2022, there was no proposed tax rate increase, and the city applied $44,000 and $141,000 in COVID aid. This year, it's 10.5, and we're applying $5,500 in land sale reserve, the remaining $82,116 in COVID aid, and $216,000 in surplus from the utility. So in essence, over the last 4 years, we created an $862,000 hole in our budget. That's 14% of our operating expenses every year. Balancing the budget means raising taxes to pay for your operating expenses. We're not doing that. Next year, when we attack the water treatment plant proceeds, that money's just going to disappear because we're going to have to plug that hole. And the taxpayers and the ratepayers who objected to selling the water treatment plant are never really going to see any benefit from selling the water treatment plant. Now, I prefer to, make a flat tax this year. If the regional and the county and the local school district taxes are going down, I think we should meet that and create a 0, make no tax increase for the residents. But I think we should raise our municipal tax so that we can start moving ahead instead of always being behind and going year to year to year, plugging holes. This is a unique opportunity for our town, and the money from that water treatment plant should be used to push the city ahead with projects like the MPP is doing, and Keith needs equipment, and the police need new vehicles, and we need probably new software. That's what that money should be used for, not paying salaries. We should be raising taxes for that stuff. Now, in the past several years, the council has raised salaries with no way of balancing the budget. That's balancing the budget. When you raise salaries, we had, where's my list? We had here it is. We had a $20,000 increase in our JIF premium this year, $20,000 increase in the cost of health insurance benefits. We also had increased police budget by 3.75%. Yet the majority on council wants to continue deferring those, paying those expenses to next year's budget. It's just unsustainable. It's going to catch up with us one of these days. And that, one of these days is going to be next year when the taxpayers are expecting the benefit of selling the water treatment. So I think we should, raise our taxes enough to give everyone a zero increase overall, their overall tax.
All right, so the benefit to the city and the residents regarding the sale of the water treatment facility, I'm not sure if you're up to date with everything. Or since the
Probably
process,
not,
or
because-
since the process has started, okay? When it was proposed, the math was done. If we were to retain that water treatment facility, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, it was a 7% increase from today until pretty much infinity. Is that correct? To replace the infrastructure and everything else, right?
We couldn't
Yeah,
sustain
I
that.
remember the initial was higher than 7.
Yeah, it was like
Pretty
10,
big jump.
12%.
It was a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a big jump,
It was
and
big.
then 7%.
Okay, so right there, the residents are saving 7% on their water bill from now until infinity to take care of all of that.
Yeah, I think when the way the agreement works is that there will be savings for 5 years. And then the water company can raise the rates or whatever they want.
Which they have to go in front of the BPU, and if they raise the rates in Egg Harbor City, then they have to raise the rates for every customer that they serve.
Well, I'm not questioning the sale of the water treatment.
But you're questioning what
I'm
the benefits
questioning
are
what we're
to
gonna do
the
with
city,
money.
but you're questioning the benefits to the residents, and I just gave you one big, huge prime example. The other thing I'm concerned with what you just said is, come next year, what I'm hearing from you is I think you think we're gonna put $2.8 billion into this budget from how you just explained it. And there's not gonna be any money left from the sale.
No, the state's making you do some community projects and all that.
That
This
2.8
next year-
million is after that money we've already allocated.
Next year, the taxpayers will see a benefit because we'll have a reduced debt service, because we're gonna be paying off debt service. So next year is the big year for the taxpayers to get benefits, not this year. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, let them see what the sale of the water treatment does when we start spending that money, when the debt service is paid off, all the debt service.
So technically, the utility surplus is the money that these taxpayers paid in for the infrastructure, which we do not need now. So you're saying, let's keep their money, so we don't have to lower the taxes this year, but it's actually their money. They all paid for infrastructure. We didn't use that. Isn't that what the majority is, the infrastructure money?
No, it's not any of that.
It's not, none of that money.
No.
But where did all that money in infrastructure go?
It's still sitting in a reserve.
It's still sitting in a reserve. So that's still there.
Wasn't
I
someone?
know, but you're creating a hole, you're creating a $216,000 hole that you're gonna have to come up with that money
We
next
also
year.
are going to have the taxes from all the buildings that American Water has now purchased. So all that tax is going to be coming in as income.
How much? You have a number on that? Or
No, I
you're
don't
just
have a number.
saying, well, that's my
Well,
point,
we
is that you
discussed on
don't
that.
know, you can't spend money.
No,
that
I
you
don't have the number,
have.
but wait a second, they're trying to get it. And it's funny, Nanette, personally, all the years I sat up here, because I'm the longest council member, all the years you sat right there in that seat and complained about taxes being raised as a resident who
No, I
can't
never
afford
did.
to live
I
here.
don't think I ever did.
Oh, from my
Was I
From
not-
my mouth to God's ears, you most certainly did. You complained about it every single year that we were raising taxes and you could not afford to live here. and You were gonna have to sell your,
Yes, for years.
because we haven't raised your taxes.
So if it was years ago, it was a prior council, and this is a tradition here, I said that at the last meeting, that we're always plugging holes. This is a unique opportunity for us to get even. Get even, and now we'll have some money left over to make nice improvements in the town.
I don't
But
think.
if we make a $16,000 hole, we have to take some of that money next year to plug that hole.
All right, Councilman Dash has something.
I think, as we sit up here, I think we have to consider all the residents of Bangor City. Some of us are blessed to have good jobs and we're financially secure, but we have people that live in the city that are not as secure. We have people that are having a hard time paying for food, paying for their utilities, paying for their rent. I think anything we can do to ease that burden, I think we have to. There's been unprecedented inflation over the last year and a half. And I think we owe it to the residents to do whatever we can to ease that burden. And I think if we're gonna take surplus money, which is surplus, and use it to balance it to flat zero, then I think that's absolutely what we should do. And I think if they're getting a tax cut because of the school or because of the county surplus, all the better, because there's people that are suffering. And I think we owe it to the people to them. So I have to say.
Councilwoman Park. Something.
The median income in Egg Harbor City is about $43,000. With the increases between inflation, and gas prices and everything, I think that we need to do everything that we possibly can in our power while we're up here to help our residents of Egg Harbor City. There are people on fixed incomes. Not everyone has the benefit of being able to freeze their tax increase. And some of them are living paycheck to paycheck. And any increase could mean either they're gonna feed their family today or end up having a lien on the property today. So I'm with using the monies that we have to lessen that burden on our taxpayers.
I understand what you're saying, that there are people, everybody's in a different situation. However, this one-time fix isn't going to help people for the rest of their lives. But it will help the city to be able to move forward in a much better way. And in my opinion, we're not increasing their taxes, but I would think that we can, like Jody said, there could be a happy medium. We could give them a little something, but not the whole, I don't agree with the whole thing. That's my opinion.
Anyone else have anything?
Well, I'll comment.
Sure.
Ordinarily, in years past, it's been going on for years. The budget's been floated by non-renewable, which is ordinarily a big no-no, and I'm against it. However, I think that we're in a unique situation right now, only because we have a prospect for more revenue next year where we never had that before. When we had to balance our budget in years past, it was mandated by the governor that we had to cut 10% off of, each line item or each department. And that's what we had to do. And that's why right now we are trying to rebuild our staff, our city. That's why we don't have an administrator right now. That's why we don't have a full-time person in the county office, taxes collector's office. That's why we don't have a full-time person in code enforcement. All those things were done to mitigate tax increases, and that's what we had to do, and we all suffered for it. We have grown, we have added houses in Egg Harbor City North. The lake has become a gigantic operation. We have marijuana coming into the city. We have sources of interest revenue. We have we're paying off our debt, which is we're setting aside money to pay off all the debt, even though some of them are not callable at this point in time. We're still deferring a tax increase through debt increase or through debt payments over the years. So I think, as I had stated before, I think if there's ever going to be a time that you do a tax decrease, it would probably be better this year. However, it's always a gamble. And if you don't get the 16,000 next year in revenue of some sort, and hopefully it'll be renewable revenue with the marijuana, tax or whatever, the 2% tax. Then if you're just going to keep using land sale money, that's not renewable. But I think that there's a good chance that we will get renewable revenue yet next year, even just like with interest. We have an awful lot of money sitting in the bank right now And the longer it's in the bank, the more interest we make. We're not talking about a little bit of money, we're talking about a lot. And
What is the interest rate right now?
it depends on what you buy.
Like a penny, 1 cent? What is it? No, Jerry, it's not very.
If you go to the treasury bonds.
I was gonna say, we need to look at it. One of the people at the bank did contact me and said, you know, while the money's here, they will give us a higher interest rate.
So in that respect, I mean, it's always a gamble, always, and it's not anything new that hasn't been done for the past probably 60 years. Who knows? I don't even know. But I know it's never a good policy to use unrenewable revenue. However, when there's a prospect for revenue in the future, it's money where you want to take that gamble. Now, next year, with the schools, they go up and down depending on our assessment, so we could actually have an increase next year, which is usually the case from the school. Greater A is usually up and down, but our school generally has an increase every year. And if you go back and look at the history, I don't have it with me, but the school, it was not always the municipal purpose tax that was over and above what it should have been. It was always the school, the county, the, regional schools. So that said, it's always, it's something you have to consider. And, like I said, I'm usually against using renewable revenue. But like I said, I think there is a prospect since we are growing and things are coming online. Just like Donna mentioned, we have a new rateable, the water treatment plant. Well, I think, just might not be a bad time to do it. Now, next year we might be eating those works, but, and then you're gonna have a gigantic increase. So you have to figure out what you want to do. You take a chance.
Council President.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I've listened to everyone and Annette, you're right. I've seen for the last couple of years, I've seen council try to keep taxes flat, right? For the residents. Irrespective of what the county is doing or the school is doing, trying to keep it at some level from increase. And there is value in that for people who live here, they see it, whether it's a slight increase, whatever. They see it when they pay their bill, pay your taxes, you get a mortgage. If you're lucky enough, they're paying it, you still see your mortgage rate go up. When they put the money in escrow and you see what you're paying every year go up, you feel that. Here we have an opportunity with surplus to kind of, as you say, fill a hole, right? And there's a certain amount of hope for next year that, okay, next year come around, we'll do something else. But what the mayor said is that we have an opportunity here because if certain businesses are successful, cannabis is successful, that brings in revenue. And I think one thing we're not thinking of is that we should be thinking forward, right? Redevelopment, development, or things that are going to be sustainable, things that are going to increase our rateable base, things that are going to really truly have an effect, lowering taxes, right? Without us having to search for something in the last minute to fill holes. One of the things that we have is right now we have one cannabis store that's about to open. I've seen revenue from another cannabis store recently. They're taking in about $40,000 a month. For us, at the end of the year, that means that 2% of their gross tax revenue comes back to us, right? Not saying that our store makes $40,000 a month, we can have two, right? If we were to get a third of that, say, that actually potentially fills that hole. But that's retail. We have the potential for a grower right now. They have some issues, but they're able to overcome their issues. That's multiple times of revenue, of tax revenue that we could see. In addition to that, anytime there's increased ratables, what you're really seeing is there's people who have property now and are paying taxes on that property, right? If that property stays flat, or if I'm talking about the taxes stay flat, or if they come down, that encourages more people to want to invest in the city. So I think what we want to be is want to be hopeful, but we also want to plan for the future. Just don't plan for next year. Plan for 5-year cycles, 10 years down the line, so we can actually have a positive effect and actually see the taxes in the town actually decrease significantly. And I have no issue with trying to fill a hole in the short term. And I know surplus is better surplus than try to take some property and quickly try to sell it. So with that, I don't have a problem signing on this budget, but I want all of us in council to take affirmative action and take efforts, even if it's just thinking about possibilities of encouraging people to come to town to increase freedom, increase development, increase free development.
And if I could add to that, we have 2 roads. We have one that's already approved. They have a license, which is Dr. Troutman, and then the one out to the industrial park. And a potential movie studio.
Those are all good projects and they'll certainly happen, hopefully, in the future, but I'm not a gambler. I'm very conservative when it comes to money. That's why I have a little bit of money in the bank, because I'm very conservative. When like right now, I had a $400 increase in my homeowner's insurance. Well, I'm shopping around. I'm not going to pay that. I'm going to shop around and try to find a lower rate. And I think I'm probably more conservative than anybody up here. And, I just don't like gambling with other people's money. And I think the benefit will come when the revenue starts flowing in. And I wouldn't want to take a chance that, God forbid, the guy has the problem with the industrial park, with the cannabis facility, and he goes away. And the tower site can't get financing, and that guy goes away, and we're still in the same position. So when those things happen, that's when we can celebrate. But until that happens, I'm not willing to gamble with their money and create holes for next year.
Sorry. Problem is.
Sorry.
Okay. One of the concerns is that people, if they're already collecting their tax, that they start doing exactly what you said. They start looking for lower taxes. If everyone starts looking for lower taxes, you have people who, even if they keep the property, this becomes another rental property. People start complaining about this rental.
Yes.
Nobody's living there. That becomes an
One of the
issue as well.
reasons why I think we should.
All right, pretty much everyone spoke. I'm gonna give Councilman Wright the floor, and then Councilwoman Antonisi, and then we'll move forward.
I had a lot of time to think about this. This is a big gamble ever take. Real big gamble. I mean, we keep talking about this weed dispensary and weed, marijuana, this, that, the other thing. Marijuana is gonna be so watered down in a year, it's gonna be another liquor store. This is gonna be a year license and it's gonna be over. I am for keeping the taxes rate, but I'm just making it clear now that I'm apologizing to all the residents if this backfires. And I'll take full blame for it. I apologize.
I'll stand right next to you.
I have one question.
Sure.
Didn't we also say that with the sale of the water treatment plant, all of the pump stations, that's a guaranteed decrease for us?
Yeah, we're waiting on the numbers.
But that is a guaranteed decrease in addition to,
Some of the email we got was 12,000 something, which
Yeah,
is disappointing.
we'll revisit that.
Yeah.
But there's also tax we're gonna get on everything.
Yeah,
Property tax.
we
on
may be
everyone.
saving 12,000, but the
there'll be additional revenue.
coming in from all of it.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm. All right, any final words from anyone? Because I'm gonna move forward unless somebody wants to propose that we do a different amount. Right now, I'm looking at either we sit at the 10.5 cent increase. Is that what it was, 10.5? Or we drop the 216,000 into the budget to run a balanced budget for this fiscal year. So nobody else has any suggestions. Do a roll call, man. For either. Full
Roll call
amount
to
of-
have the vote.
I'll make a motion to keep it a balance.
Okay.
I think you need to have the public hearing first.
Oh, yeah. we just do it.
Yeah.
That's what the president.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have here on the agenda,
Yeah.
so you're taking a poll.
Yeah, do a public hearing. I got ahead of myself, sorry.
That's fair.
All
I
right,
was with you.
if there's no further comments from council, I'd like to have a motion to open up the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, open up.
Aye.
Anybody from the public like to speak on the budget that we just discussed? Going once, twice. Motion to close,
Make a motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the resolution, annual 2023 municipal budget.
And then.
Amendment, yes. Oh, my glasses, sorry.
What's the amendment? That's what you discussed.
Yeah, so if you want, I can go over the changes again
Yep.
real quick.
Mhm.
So it is revising the municipal alliance grant from 5,500 to 6,600. It is adding the clean communities grant in the amount of $16,994. It's adding in the utility surplus of 216,000. The appropriation side, it is changing dispatch from 190 to 195,000. Changing the EMS services from 42,000 to 46,100. And adding in, changing, making the same changes on the grant and then on the alliance, the match went from 1384 to 1650. And that lowered the tax levy from $4,854,703.93 to $4,643,807.85.
Any questions regarding that amendments? If not, may I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
No.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
I just want to note, this is just for the amendment. This isn't to adopt.
Correct.
This is for the amendment.
Yes.
Which balances the budget, correct?
Yeah, but that's technically a
okay,
Yeah,
resolution
separate.
tonight.
Hesse,
Yes, it's a.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Moving on to 15 is a resolution for municipal budget adoption for the year of 2023. I am having a motion to balance the budget. So moved. Second.
Adopt.
Sorry. Roll call, please.
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
No.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
No.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. All right, thank you, everyone. Moving on to number 16, this is a resolution to approve accumulated absence payout for Timothy Foley, $1,211.08. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. 17 is a resolution to authorize execution of emergency medical services agreement between the city of Egg Harbor and Galloway Township Ambulance. Why? There's no further questions or comments. May I have a motion?
I just have one, I'm sorry, I just have one question. Was, were other services looked into, or is it just, we're just going with them again?
We're going with them again. There was no RFP put out. We had a motion by Councilman Dash and,
I got Wright, Dash.
roll call.
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 18 is a resolution to authorize a shared service agreement with the Atlantic County Improvement Authority for lead-based paint testing. There's no questions or comments. May I have a motion?
Make motion. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 19 is a resolution to amend fees, resolution number 62, 2023, for each facilities at the Egg Harbor City Lake. If there's no more questions or comments regarding this, and I have a motion.
Make that motion. Second.
Roll call.
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Number 20 is a resolution to renew liquor licenses from July 1st of this year through June 30th of next year. Plenary retail consumption for NAFA Incorporated, the Harbor Diner, Hammy's Bar and Grill, Egg Harbor Fest House, and Reina Madrid license.
What's the rain of Richard?
It was the old Blue Beats Progress Bar. and Grill.
Any further questions or comments? May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 21 is a resolution to proclaim the month of September of this year Prostate Awareness Month. We have a motion.
Make that motion.
All in favor? Number 22, we're gonna open up a public hearing for ordinance number 11 of this year, amending chapter 213 of the general code of the city of Egg Harbor, adding article 4 requiring lead-based paint. I have a motion to open up.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor? Anybody from the public like to speak on this? Going once, twice, motion closed.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, may I have a motion to adopt? Roll call.
Antonisi,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yeah.
Ritchie.
Yes. May I have a motion to advertise the notice of adoption in the Camden Gazette on the 14th of June?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody want to make a motion, pay the bills?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Antonisi, Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Ritchie.
Yes. Mayor, the floor is yours for any last comments.
Oh, no, thank you. Good.
All right, Councilwoman Heist?
Yeah, I just want to make a quick shout out to two American Water workers, Mark Naylor and Avino Malave. Today they were riding down Chicago Avenue on the 200 block and they noticed that a house porch was on fire. And they turned around, banged on the door, the lady didn't answer, but they put out the fire with her garden hose and alleviated a big mess. So kudos to those guys being attentive and aware of what was going on in the community. And that's all I have.
Councilman Dash?
I'd like to thank all of our city employees for all the dedication that they have and all their hard work. Also like to thank council for passing up that great budget.
Councilman Wright?
The only thing I got is just to remind everybody that signups are still going on at Crusaders Field every Tuesday, Thursday night, 6 to 8 o'clock. I'm not gonna get signed up for football and shooting. We started at camp in the morning.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Timbers?
I think I have one comment.
All right. Councilwoman Hesse?
I just wanted to say that the American Cancer Society Bridge Beach Bike-a-thon is this Sunday, so be aware.
Councilwoman Antonisi?
I just want to say that my boys and some fellow Egg Harbor City EU boys are playing the championship game in Galloway on Saturday. So go Reds.
Councilwoman Clark?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Galloway?
I think I said enough.
Thank you. Only thing I have to say is Jody, for next meeting, if we could put together, get this money rolling, to start doing the project that we have money allocated for. Bonds and everything.
Really be a capital ordinance.
Yeah,
Streaming
cap-
bonds.
Right, correct.
Yes.
So we can have that on the agenda
Yep.
for the next meeting. The other thing I want to bring up, and make something that you did not, I thought it was already. No, so Councilman Wright and I have been in discussions, we've been working with Public Works and Keith. Apparently for Crusaders home games, there's a serious trash issue. So speaking with Keith Adams, it looks like we're gonna have a Public Works employee there for our home games now, doing our trash. Yeah.
Long conversation, you know, very good agreement.
Burgers with us.
Yeah.
So Councilman Wright is trying to get the Crusaders and everything to a point where it's a lot more representable for our children and our residents and parents and everybody that visits us for games. So I think you guys are gonna see a lot of big improvements and improvements that are gonna put smiles on people's faces. So with that, I'm gonna open up to the public. Any public have any final comments they would like to speak on? Come on up, Mr. Costa.
So I'll be quick, I know it's late. We have an item from the Economic Development Committee that we're going to have on the agenda for discussion tonight, so I'll be quick. And with the upcoming food truck festival, we have kind of ran into an issue with the fire marshal with the fire permits. When all our applications went out way in advance to all our trucks, it was represented that there was a fee of $54. As we started collecting, I guess the trucks were sending their fees in, we were collecting the check, turning it in, they would return back to us as the fee was raised to 75. So we're trying to see if council can work with us and keep the fee at $54 for this year's food truck festival.
So
In the past, it was even less than that. And we're trying to just keep that competitive. I know we do need to pay the fire marshal out there. I think we have roughly 14 trucks with grills or whatnot that come there that we need to be inspected. And I know what he needs. I know there's a fee. We know we didn't need to be done. All the trucks really know, we've never had a problem with any of the trucks. When they come, they're first class, they know they have no time to fail an inspection. They're out there and not serving food, so anyway.
So that was brought to my attention.
Okay.
I look at it as, I understand, from what I understand, you received several checks prior to our new ordinance going into place, correct?
Correct.
I look at it as though you need to accept those checks because at the time the new ordinance was not in place for the new fee. Moving forward, yes, you should be collecting the new fee for the permits. Because it is an ordinance.
How many checks did you get in?
3.
When you sent the letter out, was it before the ordinance was passed?
Yes. So if it was me, that's how I would handle it.
And I understand it, and I just want to, so our fire fee for these trucks is the highest that they pay in Atlantic County.
And it's one of the lowest.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's just, you know, and then some, I'm being told that some of the municipalities allow a one-time fire fee. So a fire truck, or if a food truck comes in for an event, they pay the fee and that covers them for the year.
Every municipality is different.
I understand. These are all things that are brought up to us by the trucks.
No,
We're
I
just trying to be
understand.
competitive and bring them in. We just don't want to get to the point where the cost of this goes up. We
Honestly,
work so hard to get that, and I know it seems very trivial, whether.
$21.
$21.
yeah, every municipality is different when it comes to the permits of food trucks and events. Some fire officials look at it as though if you're here and that truck stays in that place for 48 hours, then yeah, you get a one-time fee. But if that truck leaves, is here, leaves for 24, 48 hours and comes back for 3-4 days later, the fire official does not know what happens to that truck between that time of not being here. So in all actuality, they need to go re-inspect that truck to make sure nothing has changed.
Understood.
So, but regarding those $354 checks, yes, you should be able to accept it. That ordinance was not passed until after those checks were received. And they were based off the old ordinance.
Okay, and I guess the second part of our request, and we appreciate that, was being that we represented, because the ordinance was not in place, when we represented, here is the fees to come in midstream, now we have to go back and say, oh yeah, by the way, there's a new resolution. That's what we're asking to consider after the first part.
So your letters went out prior to the ordinance going into place?
Correct.
Can we make a motion on this?
Applications went out in January.
Yeah, I know.
I'll make a motion to keep it at 54 hours.
Good resolution.
Yeah, we need a resolution for it. And it's only because of when you set those
For this
letters
year.
out. We need to honor that stated price on there, but moving forward from next year is gonna,
It'll be the $75.
yes, yeah. So, anybody on council object to this, honoring the $54 amount that was sent? So, if there's no objection, may I have a motion to honor that $54 fee for this, you want just this current, like the whole year, because you got two more following, right? The Fall Fest and December,
But the-
right?
Have you issued
Have
letters,
you-
like response communications for that yet?
I haven't, because I didn't know it was gonna happen, nothing's been sent out yet.
Okay, so those letters will reflect the new rates.
So maybe
Yeah.
we should say just for. food
Yeah, just
truck.
for the,
Yeah.
we can do this for the food truck, that's all.
Yeah, for August,
Yeah, correct.
and then for your October and Winter
And
Fest.
we can tell them the rates are higher.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
may I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Roll call. Because it's one related.
Anthony,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Galloway, yes. Height,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yeah.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright, Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. August 12th. We already have a lot of trucks scheduled, so.
14, right?
Yeah, well, 14
That you fired.
that require fire. We have a certain, but why not?
What's your capacity?
We're trying to keep it to low one. Thank you.
Excuse me. Received a phone call today from someone that asked about the fire. Can I give you his contact information?
Certainly, myself or Karen, yeah.
He was.
Thank you.
Got it. Anybody else from the public? Going once, going twice, no motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
All of it. Everyone have a good evening.